Okay, it has started to stream. So in the previous class, we started looking at how to measure efficiency of programs, etc. I'll quickly go over this again, and we'll look at this fundamental thing called sorting. Okay, so in Haskell, computation is just reduction. Reduction just means rewriting. Okay, rewriting one expression to another. Based on some built-in rules or by rules provided by the programmer themselves herself. Okay, so you apply definitions as rewriting rules, and the rules might be built-in or user-defined, and so you basically count the number of reduction steps, and the running time you express as a function on the input size. Okay, and this is because various inputs of the same size might require different number of steps depending on the task you have in hand, but it is always good to consider the largest number of steps required by any input of this size. Okay, because after all, you only want estimates of rate of growth. So this was the thing that I emphasized in the last class. Okay, so for instance, if you look at plus empty string plus y is y is x colon x's plus y is, you recursively do x's plus y's, and then you stick x in front. Okay, so if you want to do 1 2 3 plus 4 5 plus 4 5 6, it recursively proceeds like this. Okay, you first do 2 3 plus 4 5 6, then you do 3 plus 4 5 6, then you do empty string plus 4 5 6, and then you stick 3 2 and 1 in front. Okay, so how many steps are required in this?
4.
4, yeah, which is length of the first list plus 1. Okay, so that is the number of steps that are required. So to compute x's plus y's, use the second rule length x's times and the first rule once. So right, so here you have some input, and the number of steps required depends on the input size, because it doesn't matter what elements x's has. It doesn't even matter what type x's and y's have. Okay, whereas in a function like element, check whether something is an element of a list, you have to actually walk through the list till you find your element, and your element might be present anywhere in the list. So in the case where you search for element 3 in 2 3 7 8 9, you require only 2 steps. Okay, whereas here you require 6 steps. Okay, okay, and this is the program. So now the time taken or the number of steps required depends on input size as well as input itself, but we do an abstraction, because after all, if we want to present every little detail about everything, then it is very hard to solve problems, right? So you want to solve problems, you want to evaluate the difference between two different solutions. The way to evaluate it is to abstract out or give a capsule information about the efficiency of one program versus the other program. Okay, and then basically, because you want to be able to write a program once and apply it many times across inputs of various sizes. Okay, so basically you want to look at what is called worst case complexity. Here you want to look at maximum running time over all inputs of size n, that is your T of n, and then you also want an estimate of T of n, not as a precise function, but as a sort of a, the rate of growth of this function is like this. Okay, and the you have a few benchmark functions. Those will all be simply definable functions like n squared, n cubed, n log n, 2 power n, etc. Okay, so the point is that this estimate is a pessimistic estimate, because you want to look at the maximum running time over all inputs of a particular size. But the more realistic thing would be to do average case, but then that would get into probability, your distribution of inputs, etc. Okay, and you might not have all the information. First, even if you have all the information, it might be very difficult to do the mathematics and compute an expression for that. Okay, And yeah, so like I said, you are looking at asymptotic complexity. So basically you ignore constant factors, lower order terms, etc. So this is the crucial point. Okay. And something like an squared plus bn plus c, you will say is order n squared. Okay. And the typical complexities that you want to look at are n log n, n to the k, but more usually n squared, n cubed, etc. You won't go beyond that. Yes. Okay. And based on this, the complexity of plus plus is order n, where n is the length of the first list, and the complexity of lm is order n. This is the worst case complexity, but it's order n where n is the length of the list. Okay. You don't say n plus 1 because n plus 1 is order n. Now I'll ask you a quiz question. Suppose I want to do concat. What is the behavior of concat? Let us see here. Okay, concat of, you're able to see it, right? Unfortunately, I don't know how to clear screen. Something is not working, but
Sir, did you try simply clear? I think that works in my.
inside your GHCH itself,
Yes, sir. Yes.
No, clear is not here. Colon.
Sir,
Yes.
colon exclamatory mark CLS.
That is what I have done.
Control D works sometimes.
Control D works. No,
Sir,
doesn't.
CLS instead of
Control D
clear.
doesn't work.
Control L.
Control L. Oh, sorry.
Control
yes,
L didn't
yes,
work
yes.
either. See,
Control
because
K.
I'm
Control
using
K.
Control K. Let me try that. Because I'm working on some simulator program from my iPad connecting to my
Sir,
laptop.
CLS instead of clear.
No, CLS and all is some Windows thing. Okay. There is no CLS in. I mean, the same clear works on my Mac, on the same machine to which I am logging in. But I suppose this SSH thing, something is, but it's okay, it doesn't matter. You're still able to see it, right? It's the last line.
Yes, sir.
But I hope it's not too bad. Anyway, so what did I want to say? Yeah, I wanted to show concat. Okay. Even I find it a little this thing, but what to do? Okay, this is what concat does, not const, concat. Okay, so you'll see that it does 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then 20, 21. But this is just with 2. So if you do concat of L1, L2, it will do L1 plus L2, but you can do it with 3. Okay, so concat 1 to 10, 20 to 40, let us say, and then 60 to 100, let us say. Yes, this will give you whatever you want. Now my question is, suppose I ask you to do concat using one of the folds. Okay. Knowing, okay, you have to fold plus plus. Will you do fold L or fold R? Or better still, I'll ask you, I'll give you 2 implementations of concat. Concat 1, I'll say. Concat 1 is just fold L of plus plus empty list, because you initially start with the empty list and then you keep plus plus thing. But this is fold L. I mean, if you don't want to do, I can even do fold L prime, but it's okay, doesn't matter. Concat 2. Fold R of plus plus and empty list. So which should you use? The fold L version or the fold R version? Which would be more efficient?
So fold R.
Why? What is the number of steps required? Suppose I have k lists each of length n. Then what will the fold L version? How much time will that take? Fold R version, how much time will that take?
Fold R will take kn time.
Okay.
And
Yes.
fold L will take K in 1 sec. It's a product I need to calculate out.
Yeah, you can just say order kn squared. What you're saying? Order kn squared or k squared? Order k squared and order k squared. Okay, so let's figure out. So let's say fold R of fold R plus plus over k lists each of length n. Okay, then your time taken for an n element list. Remember that each element, sorry, k element list. Remember each element is a list in itself of length n. That is okay. So if your list of lists is just empty, so 0 element list, then that is nothing but some time 1, let us say. Tk is nothing but recursively do it on k minus 1 lists on the tail, and then you have to add a list to the left. Yes, so yeah, L, you have L colon else, you have to do L plus plus fold R plus plus empty list else. Okay, that is what you will do. That is the first step. Therefore, you have that. Remember, this is nothing but L plus plus. Recursively, you do fold R of okay. So therefore, the equation for Tk is Tk minus 1, which is the recursive call, plus n. Okay, that's all. And if you expand this recursion, or Ti equals okay, so expanding this recurrence, okay, so that is done. The fold L version, so T0 is 1, let us say, fold L of plus plus L prime and then L colon else equals, actually this is, you are concatenating, you are just returning L prime. This is what, this is nothing but fold L of L prime. Okay, so you have to do it for one list of length 1. I can't even figure out where to write. So now your thing depends on the size of L prime. So you need to take that as another parameter when you write this. I don't know what you call it. You call it D, let us say. Yes, now it is clear. Okay, good. So sorry about this. So time taken when you have to process a list of length k lists are there, and your original list L prime is some D, let us say, is actually D plus, because you have to do this operation, right? L prime plus L. Yeah. So you have to do D work, and then the recursive call is T of k minus 1. Now you have k minus 1 elements in your list, else, but then the accumulator has increased its size. The accumulator size has become n plus D. Okay. So if you expand this recurrence, originally you will start with fold L of something empty list. So your original thing is, oh, I should say I. Okay. So now if you come here, your original thing is T of k 0, because 0 is the length of your accumulator initially. Accumulator is empty list initially. So T of k 0 is T of k minus 1 comma n, which is nothing but T of k minus 2 comma 2n, which is nothing of T of k minus 3 comma 3n. But while you are doing all this, you have to add n every step. So you have to actually say n d plus. Yeah, it is best to start with 1. T of k 0 equals d plus, but d is actually n. Okay, because that is it. It goes on like this, 3n plus. Eventually you will end up saying that after all this, it is T of n squared or kn plus T of 0 comma whatever, which will be just 1, let us say. Okay. Okay. So basically, I'm sorry for this, for taking time over this. But the point is this, that you have to work through such things yourself. Okay. And in some cases, fold R is better. In some cases, fold L is better. Here, it is clearly the case that fold R is better. Okay. Anyway, let's get back. And let's get to the main topic of our thing.
Sir, can you go back to the terminal once?
Yes.
It should be kn square, right? In the TK.
Right. It should be kn squared. That's right. Because
yeah.
Why did I miss something? That is right. Because it is n plus, it should be k squared n. That's right. Because it is n. It is then at the next step, it is 2n plus n plus. And in the next step, it is 3n plus 2n plus n plus. Sorry. Okay. Eventually, it will become k squared and k into k plus 1 by 2 into n. Plus whatever, which is really order k squared. Sorry, sir. That's true. Yes. Okay. So this is the point. Right. In the one hand, you have order kn, and the other hand, you have order k squared. Okay. So we saw this complexity of reverse already, that it is the naive reverse is order n squared. The smarter reverse is just order n. We saw this. Okay, so I'll skip this because we saw it in the last class. And now let's get to sorting. Okay, so the goal is to arrange a list in ascending order, or it could be descending order, but is to arrange it in some specific order. For the purposes of illustration, we'll always choose it to be ascending order. Okay, fine. So let us look at the most most immediate sorting algorithm. And if you have ever played cards, how would you sort a hand of cards? If you're given obviously you won't be thinking of some sophisticated methods there. You will, depending on what game you are playing, you will either have 13 cards in your hand or 5 or whatever. And how would you sort it? If somebody has played cards, can somebody tell how you would sort hands? Sort a hand of cards?
So based on the deck, I mean, based on the clubs or whatever that is.
Oh, that is how you sort. Okay. Yeah, but even then, how would you do? You would look at your leftmost card and you will, okay, so you will look at any card and see, so at any point of time, you will have your leftmost I card sorted. You will go to the I plus first card, determine where in the sorted order that will go. Okay, you will take, so there will be a sorted portion in your hand, unsorted portion. You will go pick up each unsorted element and determine where it will go in the sorted pile, and you will insert it in the appropriate position. This is called insertion sort. Okay, so yes, so yes, the single card is sorted by definition. The second card you will put before or after first, depending on whether it is smaller or greater according to your criterion. Then you will insert the third, fourth, etc. cards in the correct place in the sorted pile. Okay, so this is the insertion sort. Okay, let's then figure out how to insert. Okay, let's just go to the terminal and then figure this out. Okay. Okay, so can somebody give me the type of insert in general?
So it takes a list.
Yes, it takes a list. Provided the elements of the list are in sort or orderable, it will take a list and an element. Okay, it will take an element and a list, and it will return another list.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So let's try to program. Insert. I want to insert a value v inside a list. What if the list is empty list?
Just list of v.
Yes, just list of v. Okay. What if the list is v x followed by x's? You want to insert v even if v is already present. So there is no worry about, oh, I shouldn't duplicate, etc.
So if v is less than x, then it's v colon x squared x's.
Yeah, good. Yes, so you can say if v is less than x, then v colon x colon x's. Some stupid editor to this. This editor is not really the, I mean, this is vi. I have some Haskell mode, but it doesn't seem to be the most perfect. Okay, else what do you do?
It's x colon insert v x's.
Is this clear? It couldn't be simpler than this. Yes, if v is less than x, then v should go to the beginning because v is less than even x. Ah, okay. What is the point I want to make? There is an important assumption behind all this. The important assumption is that the list itself is sorted. Okay. Insert an element v into a sorted list. Okay, that is what we want to do. So since x colon x's is sorted and v is less than x, the proper position for v is at the very beginning. But otherwise, okay, v has to come later than x. In fact, I can even do, instead of saying v less than x, I can say v less than or equal to x. Yes. If v less than or equal to x, you do v colon x colon x. Else, you want to say that, okay, x is still the first element, v has to occur later in the list. So you insert v in x recursively. That's it. Okay. Is everybody clear with the insertion?
Yes, sir.
Great. Now, once you have insertion, how do you do insertion sort? Now, again, this will be now order A. I mean, provided A is an orderable type, then you take an input list and you produce an output list. Okay. Some cases are simple. ISORT of empty list is empty list. There is no problems there. Okay. What about ISORT of x colon x's? Remember that you have to do recursion in Haskell. So what do you recurse, when, where? And after doing some recursive call, what do you do? What is the most natural thing on which you do a recursive call?
Insert x in ISORT of x's.
Yes, so you have to insert. So, yeah. Yeah, you sort x's, that is a sorted list. Now you insert x into that. Yes, that's it. So it's a extremely simple algorithm, and this actually does the job for you. Let us check that this does the job for you. Oh my God. No modules loaded. Okay, good. So let's try ISORT 100, 99.0. Great. It works. Okay. At least on small inputs. You could try. This will take a little more time. Wow, it will take a lot of time. Maybe not too much. Okay. 10 seconds is still too much, but it's okay. Okay, contrast this to the built-in sort method. There is a built-in sort function that Haskell offers you, and if you try that, oh wow, even having to print the whole thing, it takes only 0.11 seconds. Okay, it doesn't matter. We'll approach that. But is the insertion sort clear? Is the correctness clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's very simple because the algorithm itself. So in other languages, you'll have to, if you have programmed in other languages, you would have to, you'll have to do a lot of work to prove an algorithm correct. Whereas here, the correctness is very, very clear because it's almost like the definition of what it means to be sorted. Okay. How much time does it require? Let's figure out. Okay. Yeah, this is insertion. Here I've used guarded commands instead of if then else, but it's all the same. Okay, the time needed to insert is order n. Why? Can someone tell?
So isn't it worst case scenario?
Yeah, it is
Like
the worst case scenario because
if
in
X
the
is
worst
the last-
case you have to go till the end, right, and then put it at the very, very end, right? When you try to insert. So that is the worst case scenario. So order n. Okay, fine. Insertion sort is this. Okay. Alternatively, you could just say fold r insert empty list. Okay, empty list is the base case, and at every level you are doing insert of x and then recursive call. So the function that you use to combine is the insert function, and the base value is the initial value is empty list. Okay, you can do it as this. Okay, right. And the recurrence here is that to do insertion sort on a list of length n, you have to do insertion sort on a list of length n minus 1, and then you have to do order n work to put the first element in the appropriate position. Okay, so the recurrence is T of n equals T of n minus 1 plus order n, and you can view the order n as some Cn, okay, some constant C times n, and then if you expand the recurrence, you will end up with T of n equals C into n into n plus 1 by 2, right? So if you expand it, the whole thing will be order n squared. Is this clear? Just try to
Yes, sir.
expand it. You will get order T of n equals T of n minus 1 plus Cn, which is equal to T of n minus 2 plus Cn minus 1 plus Cn, and so on and so forth. So you'll have a C and then 1 plus 2 plus dot 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 till n. So you'll get this. Okay, great. Okay, so this is insertion sort. It works, but it takes order n squared time. And order n squared time is not great because you see that this thing takes 0.11 seconds, whereas the earlier thing that we had took okay, so the other thing that we had took 10 seconds or whatever. Okay, so clearly there is a need to do better. Okay, let's see. Okay, here is something. So what happens really is that you look at the recursive call. The recursive call is being made on a list whose size is almost the same as the original size. Okay, you have Tn originally, then you have to do Tn minus 1. The subtask, the recursive calls you make are on lists that whose size are nearly equal to the original list. Okay, so one way you can think of is to go down and make recursive calls on much smaller lists. Much smaller meaning they are a sizable fraction of your original list. Okay, so for instance, you could try to divide your original list into two parts, two equal parts. Okay, and then once you divide that, you separately sort the left half, you separately sort the right half. How do you sort? Recursively. But these are two recursive calls on problems of size half your original problem. Okay, you originally had a list of length n, now you have lists of length n by 2 and n by 2. Okay, good. And now you have two sorted lists, you have to put them together into one sorted whole. Okay, you have two sorted lists, you have to put them together and emerge with a still sorted thing. Okay, okay. So that is the first task that we will look at. That is called merge. Okay, so you have two sorted lists and you want to put them together into one sorted list. Okay, so that task is called merge. Given two sorted lists, x's and y's, merge it into a sorted list z's. Okay, let's see how to do that. How would you merge? Let us just come back here. Okay, let us first determine the type of merge. Can somebody tell what is the type of merge?
Sir, list A, arrow list A, arrow list A.
Who is saying this?
Sir, this is Gautam, sir.
Have you already seen these things?
Maybe a while before, but this is based on what we just spoke about, sir.
Okay. No. So I would like everybody to get a chance. So please,
Okay, sir. Got it, sir.
everybody try to volunteer. Yeah. So go. You can answer if people are silent for more than 30 seconds. That's fine. Okay. So can somebody give me all the cases? There are some very trivial cases. There are two cases. One when the first list is empty, the second list is empty. What if the first list is empty?
Second list, ys.
What if the second list is empty? First list. Okay. Now both lists are non-empty. Remember, x colon x's is in sorted order, y colon y's is in sorted order. I want to produce a final list which is in sorted order, which consists of all the elements in x's as well as in x colon x's as well as all the elements in y colon y's. By the way, who are all in Chennai? Is anybody else in Chennai?
Yes, sir. I'm in Chennai.
Who?
This is Gautam.
Gautam. Apratim Ghosh is also in Chennai. Oh, so yeah. So sorry to impose you with this lecture when it's looking very bleak, etc. outside.
That's okay, sir. For me, I think it's actually thankfully very not that bad. So.
Where are you?
Tarambur, sir.
Okay. Tarambur is close to CMI, no?
Yeah, very close, sir.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm in Mylapore. My street is like flooded already. Been flooded for the past several hours now. But it's okay. I'm in the second floor, so it's fine. It's just very bleak. That's all. Okay. Anyway, doesn't matter. For the others, this might not be a very rare occurrence. Maybe all this much rain. Okay, so let's get back to our thing. Okay, so what do? There is x. Yes. Suppose x is less than or equal to y. What can you definitely say?
Sir, X should be the first
Apratim
element.
Ghosh is saying that weather is actually good and chilly. I don't think Apratim Ghosh realizes what it means to wash clothes and dry them. Anyway, okay. Yes. So coming back to, suppose x is less than y, then what can you say?
So if x is less than y, you can't say anything, right? I mean, like if x is greater than ys or something, then you could.
No, but I mean, how does it matter? No. So let us say this: x colon x's is okay. So let us look at this. I have two sorted lists. Okay, I want to find a new sorted list, which is a merge of these two sorted lists. X is the first element in one of the sorted lists. Y is the first element in the other sorted list. How many possibilities do I have for the first element in the resulting list? The final list, which is the merge of these two, has to be sorted. If that is the case, then what are all the possible initial values for that?
X or y.
Right? So I just need to figure out what is the first element there in the output list. So if x is less than y, what can you say?
X, right, sir?
Yes, x is the first. Yes. So let us say x is less than or equal to y. Then you will say that x is the first element. Okay, but after that, what do? You still need to merge x's with all of y colon y's. Right? You have determined the first element. Do merge with the remaining elements. That's all. You have to do a recursive call. Merge of x's with y colon y's. Else, what do? Else, what do?
Y colon.
Exactly. Else, y is the first element. And what else do? You merge x colon x's with y's. Okay. Because every one of these elements in x colon x's and y colon y's should end up in the final list. So you have done whatever you need to do. Yes, that's it. Okay. Great. Okay, so merge is done. How much time does it require to do merge? Of two lists, let us say both lists are of size n by 2. Or in other words, the sum of the two lists is of size n. That is what I need to start with. Let us say sum of x's and sum of y, the sum of length of x's and length of y's is n, let us say. How much time does it take to do merge?
Sir,
How many recursive calls are there from merge? Or you should actually try to work out the time. Let us just try to work it out. Yes, okay, here is an example run also I am merging 32, 74, 89 and 21, 55, 64. You have to do compare between 32 and 21. Then you will get 21 as the minimum. Compare between 32 and 21 is the minimum. So you'll do merge of 32, 74, 89, this whole list, and 55, 64, which is the tail there. Now compare 32 and 55. 32 is smaller, so you will put it this way, and then you have to merge 74, 89, and 55, 64. Now between 55 and 74, 55 is smaller, so you'll put 55 here and merge 74, 89 with 64. And then finally, between 74 and 64, 64 is smaller, so you'll put 64 here, and then merge 74, 89 with empty list, but that is nothing but just 74, 89. So you get this whole list. Okay. So if you want to look at time taken, sorry, I need to use this. So let n be the sum of length x's plus lengthwise. So T of n is, in general, you make one recursive call, right? Because look at here, right? Because you have a merge, you make one recursive call. From there, you make another recursive call. From there, you make one recursive call. There is at most one recursive call. And when you make the recursive call, look at the sum of the lengths of the two arguments. Here it is 6, here it is 5, here it is 4, etc., etc. So the sum of the lengths keeps decreasing by 1 every time you make a recursive call. So T of n equals T of n minus 1 plus, what is the extra work you do? The extra work you do is just sticking something in front of a list, just putting this thing. The extra work you do is just, sorry, I should choose a different color. Is just doing this 55 colon. Okay, you're just putting an element in front of a list. That's all. Okay, so T of n equals T of n minus 1 plus 1. Okay, and in the worst case, you will come to T of 1, let us say, in which case one of the lists will be empty, and in that case the answer is 1. So even if you go all the way down, you will have T of n equals n or n plus 1 or whatever, but in any case it is some c into n, where c is some constant. One or 2 or 3 or whatever, something, depending on what. But is this analysis clear? So you require order n time, which basically means Cn. Okay. Now merge sort. Let us get to sorting. Okay, we have merge. Now we need to sort. Okay. Earlier we had insert and then we had to sort. Now we have merge, we have to sort. Okay. Sorry. Something has happened. Royally screwed. The whole thing is gone, is it? Oh my God. I can't even do a clear or whatever.
Sir, Control L is clear.
Control L doesn't work here. I'm telling you, because I'm working on some SSH program on my iPad, so it doesn't work. I mean, it used to work. I'm using some SSH program on the iPad and logging into a new machine, okay, which is some new chip and so on. So I can't even really. So there are still things that I need to figure out. Thanks to you people who have to sit through all this, I'm figuring out things that do not work. Anyway, yes. Okay, what did I want to do? Merge. Merge is fine. Okay, so let me go here. Okay, I have merge. How do I sort using merge? M sort, I want to call it. Remember, I said that you have to split your list into 2 lists of almost equal size. Okay, and then sort both halves and then merge them. That was my original this thing. So how do you split your list into 2 halves? Okay, M sort of empty list is empty list. Let me put that. And I'll also say M sort of singleton list is just that singleton list. M sort of any other list equals merge of, you want to split the list into two halves. I'll call it front and back. Okay, merge of M sort front and M sort back. Okay, right. Is it clear? I want to split the list into two halves. The first half I call front and the second half I call back. Recursively sort the two halves. Now this M sort front is a sorted list. Okay, this thing is a sorted list. This M sort back is also a sorted list, and I just merge them using whatever I did here. Okay, and I'll get a new sorted list. That's all I want. Okay, where now I just need to know how to split the thing into front and back. Where I'll say this. First of all, I'll say n equals length of L. I know that length of L is at least 2. Okay, then I'll say front back is nothing but split at. Remember, split at is like take and drop. You want to take n by 2 elements and you want to drop n by 2 elements. Okay, those two are the and you do it in one shot. That is split at. Split at n div 2 L. So now, can somebody tell me why I had to do a special definition for M sort singleton list X? Srimati, can you tell? Srimati will tell. I can see only two faces, so I'll ask him.
So 1 minute. Sir.
Yes, please. Why did I need to do that? What if I dropped that case?
Oh, because like we said for empty list, you need only empty list. So if you drop it, you're gonna get it again. In the sense, if in split at, you're gonna get X.
Exactly. Very good. Very good. Very good.
Needed.
If you have a singleton list X and you do this, you will do split at, then one part will be empty list, the other part will be the same list as the original list. Yeah, and then your recursive call M sort of back will be just your original M sort and you will never terminate. Okay, so be very careful when you write such algorithms. You need to take care of certain cases and ensure that, okay, you do not call the same call again and again and again. Great, very good, very good. Okay, okay, that's it. Okay, so and now how much time does it take to compute length? Order n times. Okay, order n time, where n is the length of the list. And how much time does it take to do split at? Again, order n. Okay, because you want to walk down the list once and then just take this. That is basically it. And this is your merge sort. Let us now compile this. Hopefully it compiles. Good. It's loaded. I'll do, let me just recall I sort of 10,000,9999 ... In fact, I don't even need the whole. Okay, it's okay. Okay, let me do it. Ten seconds it should take, or some such. Okay, let us do M sort of the same thing. I hope all this work pays off. Oh, wow. Very good. Okay, very nice. Let us figure out the time complexity of merge sort. Is merge sort itself clear? The algorithm itself should be reasonably straightforward. Like many of these, the Haskell renders these algorithms very, very nicely. Because you are just saying, oh, what does it mean to sort a list? Okay, sort two halves. Recursively put the two sorted halves together. We looked at merge. So you're just taking, how do you split a list? You do split at. Okay, that's front and back. You M sort front, M sort back, merge them. That's it. Okay. Anybody has a question about merge sort, how it works, etc.? We'll see that we can actually, the built-in sort that Haskell uses is actually M sort, but not this algorithm. It does a much more sophisticated version of M sort, much of which we can actually figure out on our own. If we have time, I'll do it. Otherwise, I'll do it in the next class. It's okay. But is M-sort clear? Okay. And if M-sort is clear, there is actually a cooler sort that is coming up. But let us first look at the time required for M-sort. So here is M-sort. Sort L from index 0 to index n by 2 minus 1. Then sort L from index n by 2 to n minus 1. Then merge the two sorted halves into L. Okay, that's all you want to do. Not L, but L prime, something else. How do you sort the halves? Recursively, using the same strategy. Okay, so here is one thing where I walk you through one sort. Sort of 43, 32, 22, 78, 60, whatever, is merge of sort of the first half. Yes, this half. This half. First 4 elements, and then sort of the next 4 elements. But this itself is sort of a merge of sort of 43, 32 and sort of 22, 78. This part is merge of sort of 63, 57, sort of 91, 13. Eventually, you will see that, okay, sort of 43, 32 is 32, 43. Sort of 22, 78 is 22, 78. Sort of 63, 57 is 57, 63. Sort of 91, 13 is 13, 91. Now you want to merge these two. This part. Okay, you will see that it is 22, 32, 43, 78. That is what you will get here. If you merge this, it will be 13, 57, 63, and 91. And if you merge this, you will get this sorted list. Okay. So I get this line. Oh, what a stupid idiocy. I have a pencil. Oh, you can't see me on the video. I have a pencil, and instead of using the pencil, I am using my trackpad like an idiot. Yeah, so this is what. Okay, great. Okay, so the merge algorithm itself is this. The merge algorithm is this, which we already saw, and each comparison adds at least one element to the output list, right? Because it adds at least either X or Y, and in this case, when you hit one of the lists to be empty list, it adds a whole host of elements to the output list. So therefore, number of steps needed is order n, because your sum of the original two lists was n, the length of the original two lists. Right, n is length of x's plus length of y's. And now sort is just this. We do this base case, and then we do merge sort of front, sort of back, where n is length x's div 2, front back is split at n axis. Okay, so instead of calling n to be length of x's, I am directly calling it length of x's divided by 2. Okay, and then I am doing all this. Okay, fine. So, oh, I haven't talked about the time complexity of this. How come I missed this? Okay, let me talk about the time complexity. I had it in a slide, but I think in some copy paste I missed the slide. Doesn't matter. I'll put it back in and re-upload the slides. I'll meanwhile add a page here. Okay. So sort of so if you want to sort a list of length n, you have to sort the front as well as the back. And what is the length of the front and length of the back?
N mod 2 and n minus n mod 2.
Yeah, so but we'll both treat that as n by 2. Okay, doesn't matter. Plus, you need to do some work to figure out length, to do split at, and then to do merge. But each of these things take order n time. So we'll encapsulate all that together and call it some d into n, where d is some constant. Assume d is 10. Okay, so you will have 2 times t n by 2 plus 10n. This is the recurrence that you have. Now you want to work out what this recurrence actually means. Okay, I want to do 2t n by 2, but when I do 2t n by 2, I will have to do some 2t n by 4, etc. So it makes sense to assume that n is a power of 2. If it is not a power of 2, take the smallest power of 2 larger than n, and then you can do the same analysis. Okay, assume without loss of generality that n equals 2 to the k for some k. Okay, for some k. Now let us look at t to the t to the 2k is what? 2 times t 2k by 2. 2k divided by 2 is what? 2 to the k minus 1, right? Right? Plus 10 into 2 to the k. Leave it at that. If you expand this, what will happen? If you expand this further, what will happen? Okay, firstly, let me write it as 2 squared t 2k minus 2 plus 10 into 2 to the k minus 1 plus 2 to the k. Okay. Now, no, actually it is 2 into 10 to the 2k minus 1, right? So it is 2 to the k plus 2 to the k. Right? Because 2 into 2 to the k minus 1 is 2 to the k, 10 into 2 to the k plus 10 into 2 to the k, so which is 2 to the k. Fine. If you expand this, what will happen? That is 2 squared into 2t 2 to the k minus 3 plus 10 into 2 to the k minus 2 plus 10 into 2 into 2k. That was the thing here. So this I can write it as, instead of writing it, I will write it as. Okay. So now what will this become? Now this is 2 cubed into t 2 to the k minus 3 plus 2 squared into 2 to the k minus 2 is 2 to the k again. Okay. 10 into 2 to the k plus 10 into 2 into 2 to the k, which is 10 into 3 into 2 to the k. Okay, this is what you have. So what is this pattern? If you keep on going, if you do I steps, what will it be? It will be 2 to the I t times 2 to the k minus I plus 10 into I into 2 to the k. Is this clear? If you keep on expanding, the 3 here is the same as the 3 here, and then there is 3 there. So you will say I. Okay, when will you stop?
When k equal to I.
Yeah, when I equals k, that is when you will stop. Okay, or in other words, when, yeah, so when k minus I is 0, that is when you start. Yeah, when I equals k, you will start. So you will keep on going. Eventually you will get 2 to the k times t to the 2k minus k plus 10 into k into 2 to the k. Okay, what is 2k minus k? That is 1, t of 1. What is t of 1? Again, what is 2 to the k? This is n. T of 1 plus 10. What is k? 2 to the k is n. So what is k?
Log x.
Log n.
2 base 2.
Yeah, base 2. That's right. Log n to the base 2, and then 2 to the k is n again. So, but what is what is t of 1? T of 1 is time taken to sort one list of length 1. That is a straightforward case. That is just 1, because you saw here that sort x equals x, sort of singleton x equals x. So this is nothing but n times 1 plus 10 into n into log n. That is nothing but order n log n. Okay, so this is a very important this thing. Yes.
So could you scroll up a bit? I just want to see the beginning.
Yes. Is this okay? I'll decrease the size. You can still read, I hope, right? You can still read it, right?
Yes, sir. No, it's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Sir,
Yes.
could you repeat one more time why the assumption that n is equal to 2 to the k is without loss of generality? I didn't fully.
That is because suppose n is not 2 to the k. Okay, n will be between some 2 powers of 2, right? So take the larger power of 2.
Okay.
Suppose
okay,
n
sir.
is between 2 to the 10 and 2 to the 11. Right? So then time taken for that will definitely be less
Okay, sir.
than 2 to
Yeah.
and so it will all work out again.
Okay,
Sir, can
sir.
you explain the last step, sir? N plus n log n equal to n, like order n log n.
Yeah, order n log n nothing means that you ignore constant factors and you ignore lower order terms. N is definitely lower than n log n. So you ignore the n part, you ignore the constant factor and you just call it order n log n.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that is why you call it order n log n. But till that, is it clear why you get all this? So when you go to your algorithm scores, you will actually prove this as a theorem that if you have a recurrence of this form, depending on, instead of this 2 into t to the n by 2 plus dn, you will have some a into t to the n by b plus cn, and then you will figure out under what conditions and for what values of a, b, and c will you have what kind of complexity as the end result. Okay, that is this thing. But for our course, you just need to expand the recurrence, figure out the pattern like we did here. We expanded it till level 3, and then we said, oh, this is the pattern. For I, it will be like this. We will stop at k. Okay, so we left from here to from here we made a leap to this, because what else is it going to be? Okay, and then we said that we will stop at this level. On that level, all these things become concrete because 2 to the k equals n. Okay, so you can go back to your original. Yes, Srimati, is it clear? You wanted to scroll up, etc.
So I don't understand why we assume D is 10 or something.
Why? Okay, what do you want to assume? D is order n. Order n means it is some constant into n.
Oh, it's a constant. Okay, yes, sir.
That is all. D is some constant. Okay, it could be any constant whatsoever. But if you think about it practically, what all do you need to do? You want to do split at, you want to do length. Okay, and then you want to do merge. Okay, so I mean, what is it going to be? It is not going to be 100 or anything. It is. It's maximum going to be 3 or 4. I am being very generous and say assume it's 10.
Yes, I understand.
Here, because this is the thing. You have to do 3 things. You have to do split at, you have to do length, and then you have to do merge. Okay, the time required for all these. Okay, and that is order n. Okay, and order n means some constant times n. So I'm assuming that the constant is some d. I mean, you can work out all these things by putting d instead of 10, but for concreteness sake, I put it just 10. Okay. Okay, great. So let us just look. There is a cool way of doing another sort, which is to avoid merge completely. Okay. Why do you need to do a merge? You needed to do a merge because elements in front may be larger than elements in the back. Right? Right? Merge is needed because some elements in front are greater than some elements in back. Okay, this is the crucial part. Suppose you can avoid that. Suppose you can figure out a front and a back such that every element in front is smaller than every element in the back. And let us say you sort front and back separately. Then how do you put together an overall sorted list? So suppose, suppose front and back are sorted lists. Everything in front is less than or equal to everything in back. Then how do you put them together to get a sorted list?
Just append them.
Just
You have to just append them. That's it, right? So then front plus back is automatically sorted. Okay, so you avoid the merge step, but then where do you have to pay the cost? You have to split. Earlier front and back was just some split at n by 2. Now you have to do some work to figure out a front and back such that every element in front is less than or equal to every element in back. Okay, so can we ensure that everything in front is smaller than everything in back? There is a way to ensure it. Suppose the median value of the list is m. Median value is sort of median value is sort of the middle value. If you were to sort the list and the number of elements are n, then the median value is the value that would appear in index n by 2. Okay. Suppose the median value is m, then you could move all the values that are smaller than or equal to m to the front and all values that are greater than m to back, and then recursively sort them, and then just do plus plus one. Okay, move all values less than or equal to m to front, back has values greater than m, and then you are finally recursively sort front and back. Your final result will be not your final result will be front plus plus back. That's it. Okay, but how do you find median value? Okay, median, it's sort of a like circular definition. Median value is that value that will appear in index n by 2 provided the list has been sorted. But we want to sort the list, and I mean, how do I do this circular thing? As it turns out, there is a way to find out median without sorting, but that is something that you will see in your algorithms course. Let us not bother about that algorithm now. Instead, what we do is we don't necessarily search for median. We pick a random element, okay, and then divide the list into two halves. One half consisting of all the elements smaller than your random element, the other half consisting of all elements that are greater than your random element. But where do you go for a random element? Okay, you don't even go for a random element. You pick the first element. Okay, so there is the strategy that you want to do. So to find the median, you have to sort and pick up middle element. But our aim is to sort. So this is circular. So to avoid this, you pick some value in the list, and that is called the pivot value. Sorry. Okay, so you pick a value called the pivot value, and what you do is anything that is less than or equal to the pivot, you move to the front. Anything that is greater than pivot, you move to back. Okay, you split the list with respect to the pivot, and then you don't even need to search far and wide for the pivot element. Usually you take the first element as the pivot element. Okay, so after having said all this, this is your algorithm finally. So sort of empty list is empty list. Okay, sort of expol and excess is, like we said, pick a pivot element. Everything that is less than or equal to the pivot, you move to the front. Everything that is greater than pivot, you move to back. Recursively sort front and back, and you need to put them back together. But then you have to put the pivot also back, because you will see why. So this is the pivot. Okay, so sort front plus plus pivot plus 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 sort back. Pivot is just the first element, x, this element. Pivot is just this element. Okay, you see. Okay, pivot is just the first element, and front is all y in excess. Remember, not expol and excess. Everything in the tail that is less than or equal to x. Okay, I should say pivot here rather than x. Everything that is less than or equal to the pivot in the tail, you put in front. Everything in the tail that is greater than pivot, you put in the back. And then you recursively sort front, recursively sort back, just put them back together. That's it. Okay. So this algorithm is delightfully simple to write. And this sort, originally this sort was called quick sort. Okay. But as it turns out, the built-in Haskell sort is the merge sort that we talked about, but an improved version of merge sort. Okay. Okay. Now the drawback, the advantage with quicksort is that it is trivial to write. Okay, it is very easy. It is very easy to understand what is happening also. Okay, I have an original list. I partition the list into two halves. One half which is all less than one element. Another, not half. One part which is less than a fixed element. Another part which is all elements greater than a fixed element. Then I sort the two parts recursively. Just put them back together by using plus plus. That is all there is to it. Okay, it's a very, very simple algorithm to write, at least in Haskell, not in other languages. But the drawback is that it is not very easy to do. The worst case performance can be n squared. Why? Because the pivot could be the maximum in the sorted order or the minimum in sorted order, in which case you will one partition will be empty while the other partition will be of size n-1, and your algorithm's behavior will be the same as that of insertion sort. Okay, so partitioning takes time order n, and then you will do t of n-1 plus cn. Okay, that is the worst case. So worst case, it will be order n squared. Yes, but one can sit and do an average case complexity analysis for this and say that if my original list is in some random order, then it will not be the case that the pivot element that I pick, namely the first element in the list, is the smallest or the largest. So I will always get a decent partition of my list into 2 halves or something close to halves. So on average, it will all work out to order n log n. But of course, that analysis is hard. You will perhaps see it in the algorithms course, but not here. Okay.
So we can just randomize the matrix, the array, the list.
You could do that, but then yeah, we are not looking at random, etc. now. So how do you exactly randomize the list? We'll have to see. Yeah. So you will have to look at the length of the array. You will have to do a random permutation. Yeah, you will have to do a random permutation. So we don't know yet how to do random, etc. in Haskell. We'll come to that later. Okay. So
which is randomly the indexing where we are finding the front.
I know, but how do you do random in Haskell?
Isn't there a built-in function?
There is something, but it is not. It takes a little more work to use it. Okay. So we'll look at it later. Okay, not right. Okay. Okay. So yeah. So this is important because Quicksort is one of the few algorithms amenable to average case analysis. Okay. And the people have worked it out carefully, but we won't do it in this course. Okay. And yeah, basically this is what you do. You assume that your input is a permutation of 1, 2 to n, basically a permutation of the indices. Yeah, so you assume that your input is some basic, only the order matters, actual values do not matter. So you assume that your input is a permutation of 1, 2 till n, and you choose, if you assume that your inputs are all inputs are equally likely or uniform distribution, then you sit and calculate the running time across all actual inputs, okay, of length n. Okay, I'm not going to do how to do. I'm not going to do that work, but I'm just telling you how you should do it. Okay, if you average it out, it will be order n log n, or you should be smarter and do some probabilistic analysis, etc. But that's beyond the scope of this thing. So we'll stop with this. Maybe we should quickly. Does anybody have a class right now? I can take 2 minutes to code up Quicksort, and then we'll just run it and see how it runs. Yes. Yes. Who had a question?
Yes, I had a question about the actual code of Quicksort. So.
You had a question about the actual code of Quicksort.
Quicksort, yes, which
you
showed.
Who is this? Romit. Who's asking?
Yes, it's Romit.
Yes, let us code it now.
Yes, you can code it up, then we'll ask the question.
Okay. So I'll sort Qsort. Oh my God! Suddenly become. I've closed all windows because earlier it was very, very cold winds coming in, but now it's suddenly become extremely oppressive. I don't know what that means. Okay, great. This is done. That's all there is to the algorithm.
So,
1 second. Yes. Let's try Qsort on. I should reload. Qsort on the same thing. Of course, it will take a lot of time because as I told you that if the pivot element is the smallest in the ultimate this thing or the largest, then it will take order n square time. So this should also take around 10 seconds. Yes, and now Romit, ask your question about the code.
Yes, I was saying, so if the input list is already sorted, won't it
Yeah.
make an infinite loop?
No, it won't. That is the point. It will just do some empty work, but it will, let's see.
So just to
Yeah, it won't. It will
confirm,
actually produce a result still. Why did you think it will go into an infinite loop?
Oh, I thought the front plus plus x is inside the quicksort bracket.
No. Q sort front plus plus x. Plus plus is the outermost operator. Yeah. Okay. So if you want, I can. Or in the slides also, I don't have parentheses.
So that's my fault. So
Yeah. So the plus plus is so functions happen first actually, and operators happen later after functions.
yes.
Okay. So where am I?
Sir, how do we terminate a running program in DHCI?
Control C.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
So the worst case complexity of quicksort is when the list is sorted in like it's
In either order, whether reverse or front.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. And now as Vijayan said, I should provide a random input now, but I don't remember now. I mean, you have to do a little work to produce a random input. We will soon get to it because when we do data structures and so on, sometimes you need to test them with random inputs. You will get to see how I do randomness there. Okay. So, okay. Any questions so far? If there are no questions, then I think I can wish you a nice weekend and hopefully see you on a brighter day. But they are telling that this will go on until 15th or some such. So let us see.
Sir,
Yes.
just a general question. Where can I find how the inbuilt functions are defined? Like, can I find it on the Haskell?
Oh yeah. You can. I think yeah. This is a very good question. Let me show to you. Okay. So I have this Hasklib online, which is basically downloads.haskell.org. This thing. Should I send you this thing? Should I?
No, I'll find it there. Fine.
I'll add. I'll add this link on chat. Okay. Right now. For that, I need to go to my laptop and do the same thing. Just a minute. Okay, so I have come here. I'm adding it on chat to everyone. Okay, great. So now you go here, and then let's say data.list. You can search, of course, just like any other website. This is so data.list. Okay, so something like folds, guilds, all kinds of things. Searching list, searching with a predicate. Sorting, is there a sort somewhere? Ordered lists. Sort, okay, let us go look at source for sort. This is the sort. So if you go to that site, you will see a source here. Okay, and you click on that source, and then that will actually take you to some GHCA sources where those things are there. Some of these functions might be harder to understand at first glance.
Yeah, sir. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Even without your browser trying to go to reader mode and whatnot. But you see that you have this lm is any dot equals. What is any? You have to go click on any. Okay, any is this. Oh my God. Okay. But at least you should see the usage for any and all. Any applies a predicate on a list and checks whether any element of the list satisfies that predicate. Okay. So for instance, any greater than 3 empty list is false because there is no element in the list at all. Any greater than 3 in 1, 2 is also false. But any greater than 3 in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is true. because there is some element in that, and any greater than 3 in 1 dot dot is also true, even though that's an infinite list. Okay, and whereas something like this will hang forever. Can you think of the code for any? Let us just, since you asked me a question, I'll ask you a question. My any, let us write it. No, Srimati. So whoever asks me a question, I'll ask them a question back. I'll give you the type. I'll give you the type. Type is arrow bool arrow list A arrow bool. Right. P. I have a predicate P and I want to check it on the empty list. There is nothing in the empty list, so I should get false.
Yeah.
Okay. What
Yeah,
about
do
my
I-
any?
Yeah.
My any of P x colon xs. This is what?
So you first check it with X, and then
Yes.
if it's true, you stop, or else you recurse it on X, I think. Oh yeah, many PXS. Yeah.
Yes, either. Yes. How do you write it with folds?
So 1 minute. So you want to say fold R, can I say P?
Yeah, my any P is
Or-
folder of. Let us come to the function later. The function will take 2 arguments, right? One
Yeah.
is of type A, some X, and another is a Boolean value. Okay. And then what should it return? It should return Px or B. That's all. Okay. And the initial value is false.
So what have you done in the bracket? I don't think I understood that.
Yeah, X is the first element
Huh.
in the X colon Xs.
Hmm.
X is this element. The recursive value is a bool, right?
Yeah.
So that is B. That is this my any Px. So this is the thing. You write an explicit recursion, and whatever is the recursive call, replace it by the second argument of your function. I'm doing Px or my any Pxs, right?
Hmm.
The my any Pxs is the second argument. So that is my B here. So the body is nothing but Px or B. That's all.
Yeah. No, so I'll
Right,
have
because-
to think if I understood.
Because instead of B, you will give the recursive value, and the recursive value is my any of Px.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, that is how you do it. Okay.
Sir,
Yes.
true lm map p and give the set.
Once more.
True lm map the p and the set. Let work.
True elim map. No, you can do that also. Another thing that you can do is this, that this is trying to do it in using a folder. Okay. But you can actually do this. Okay. Map P on the list. Okay, this is another thing that you can do. So these are all various ways in which you do this thing. So if you map P on that list, what will you get?
A set of Boolean.
A set of booleans. And now what do you want to do with this boolean? Check OR. Okay. If one of them is true, you want to do true. That's all.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Right. So my any of, then again what you can do is folder of, okay, again you want to say X or B. One of the two things should be true. That's all. Yeah, you just want to do folder of the OR function with initial value to be false. On map of myany of PL equals folder of R function over false on map PL. Map PL will be a list of bools. Once you have a list of bools, you want to do a R of all of them, and the way to do it is to do folder of R with false as the initial value, because false is the identity for R. Okay, you can either do folder or foldel, whichever.
Okay,
Is this
sir.
clear? Yeah?
Yes, yes,
Okay,
yes.
great. Okay. So yeah, so you can explore all this kind of things yourself. And then yes, Srimati, you can always go here. Go here, then click on source. In fact, a very good exercise for you would be to go to data.list and try to look at many functions and then look at the code to see what is happening. Okay. Sometimes it will be too abstract and sort of hard to understand, but there are many functions that will be very relatable. Okay. Okay. With that, I will stop. Okay. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Thank you,
So,
sir.
yeah. Okay. Have a nice evening. See you next week. Then. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
So, yeah. So the assignment is due on 15th or some such. I will have another nice assignment for you with hopefully fewer mentions of LeBron James, but you will listen. Okay. See you then. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.